What is good, YouTube, man? Today I'm back with another banger reaction video. We're reacting to streamers who captured the final moments live. Let's take a moment of silence real quick. Alright, before we start this shit, make sure y'all tap up, roll up, and grab some food. Let's get this bitch rolling. Alright, let's get this shit
Jean
started.
Parmenov, real name Raphael Gravin, was once the largest French streamer on Kick, as well as the fourth most watched creator on the platform as a whole. Viewers watched for his rage-filled reactions to losing in different games. And while he started off playing video games, he eventually transitioned into doing more IRL streams, many of which included him hanging out with other French streamers. He was on track to becoming even more famous.
Are these real people? Who the fuck will be watching this bull? He has two glasses on. Yo, I paused it the perfect timing. Why would y'all watching a motherfucker? They gotta be wearing two glasses, yo. This is not real. These kids aren't real. Look at, he's fucking cross-eyed.
Which included him hanging out with other French streamers. He was on track to becoming even more famous. And with that goal in mind, Jean and his partners announced their biggest project to date in August 2025, a marathon stream. Put simply, they were going to stream every second of their lives for at least 10 days. And things went just as planned at first with
Yo, were they the first motherfuckers to start this shit? Yo, he was the first one to start a marathon. Shout out to my mans right here, yo. He was the first one. Y'all don't even know.
the marathon lasting over 12 days. But just when it seemed like the continuous stream would never end, a single tragedy brought everything to a halt. Just past midnight on August 18th, Jean went to sleep while still on camera. Not long after that, the stream showed him tossing and turning before calming back down. A few minutes later, a donation alert woke up one of the other streamers, who then tried to get Jean's attention. Jean, however, was completely unresponsive. They quickly ended the stream and rushed Jean to the hospital. Sadly, it was too late. 46-year-old Jean Parmenov had already passed away in his sleep and was officially pronounced dead at around 4 a.m. This was devastating news for the
Bro, this was all dead ass on live. Bro, think about you watching this bull and he dies while he's sleeping. And bro, y'all got no clue. He was just talking on the stream. He was just chilling. Lays down, dead. But bro, you gotta think about that. That's the best way to go out. That's the most peaceful way to go out. You're not harmed, bro. You're not getting harmed. You're going right to sleep. Like, you gotta think about it. He went out good. He went out peaceful. Can't
tens
even
of
hate.
thousands of fans who love tuning into his streams every single day.
That wasn't
but
right.
as the headlines spread across the internet, more people began looking into the events leading up to the incident. And the disturbing things they discovered made everyone look at it from a different angle. Not as an inevitable tragedy, but a preventable homicide. And it all pointed back to the main two individuals Jean was streaming with, Owen and Safine. You see, Jean didn't have the best life before becoming a streamer. He was a military veteran, but due to his deteriorating health, he had trouble finding regular work. This forced him to live with his mother with no outside connections. He began streaming in March 2020 as a way to combat his loneliness and make new friends. However, the clips of his over-the-top yet entertaining reactions to losing went viral on platforms like TikTok, allowing him to amass a sizable audience over time. This was a win-win situation for Jean, as he was earning good money while also collaborating with other French creators. And that's where Owen and Safine entered the picture. They not only began streaming with Jean, but also formed an entire content strategy around making him angry and recording his reactions. Now, it can be argued that, at least by this point, Jean was in on the scheme. He knew the audience wanted to see him burst out in entertaining ways and leaned more into that character.
I'm confused,
However,
bro.
things took a darker turn once he moved in with the two to make IRL content. As people were going through his old streams and videos after his death, they discovered hundreds, if not thousands of instances of Owen and Safine getting physical with Jean. And it wasn't something lighthearted and fun. Now, I can't show the vast majority of these instances or describe what happened in them on YouTube due to just how graphic and abusive they are. All I can say is that Owen and Safine's harassment included everything from rather harmless stunts like breaking an egg.
Bro, you gotta think about it. He's also a military veteran. He got PTSD probably, bro. Look at him. He definitely looks like he got something wrong with him too. Damn, they're literally trolling this bull. All for the views and money. Bro, the fame really gets in motherfuckers' heads, bro. First it's like Diddy and shit, like look at bro, why his collarbones like that? Are my shit's like that? The fuck?
On his head
Maybe he just
to
mad
acts that could
skinny.
be potentially life-threatening. This type of behavior was a consistent part of their streams, where they essentially
why does
treated
he
Jean
look like
as a
that?
living punching bag. And the marathon stream was also more of the same, with everything tuned to the max to increase shock value and by extension their viewership. So, when Jean tragically passed away on stream, many on the internet pointed fingers at the two behind it all, Owen and Safine. People argued that his already frail structure was made significantly worse by the constant stress he was under from the two. Worst of all, they seemed like they were well aware of this, as just days before his end, they made Jean declare on stream that if anything were to happen to him, it wasn't their fault.
Ouais,
They made him say that?
Non, à moins qu'ils disent face caméra là maintenant que si demain il meurt en plein live, c'est dû à son état de santé de merde, pas. Je dis face caméra que si demain tu meurs sur scène.
Wait, so he literally called this shit. He said, if you die on the stream tomorrow, it is not our fault. Yo, so they wanted him to die on stream. They wanted all this shit to happen for the views. Yo, this shit ain't real, bro. Yo, y'all better find these motherfuckers. They better be canceled and shit, bro. They better be more than canceled, bro. What the fuck?
C'est dû. Ben oui, comme Dalida a dit.
S'il m'arrive quelque chose en live, que ça vient pas
Clipper.
que ça vient pas d'eux.
The online backlash also sparked an investigation into Jean's death. According to Owen's lawyer, everything they did to Jean on stream was consensual and nothing more than an act for the sake of entertainment, stating, "There were things that were scripted,
They're
there was
lying.
improvisation, there were shots that were simulated. What you see on the screen is not the reality of what was being experienced."
Simulated?
The autopsy report also concluded that the cause of Jean's death was his own poor health and that there was no foul play. But in the eyes of the thousands
I'm
following
not
this
fucking with that
case,
shit.
his health only deteriorated to this point because of how the other two treated him over the past 3 years. That said, the investigation
trying
is
quick
still
read.
ongoing, and for now, it's unclear how it will end.
That's fucked up, bro. They need to really look into that shit and talk to those two motherfuckers, bro. And the other ones that are in that house. There's more people there. That's really fucked up. You gotta really get into that shit. Go deep, bro. Maybe it was his health, but at the same time, y'all are torturing the poor man, bro. For the views. For the money. Y'all probably wouldn't even getting that many views. I ain't fucking know you. Fucking bum.
Valeria Marquez was a 23-year-old
Woohoo!
Mexican model, businesswoman, and digital creator
Shit!
from Jalisco, Mexico.
Mommy!
She showed interest in the world of beauty and fashion from
Oh
an
my
early
god.
age, and following her dream, managed to receive the title of Miss Rostro in 2021.
Damn.
The fame from this title allowed her to open her own salon named Blossom the Beauty Lounge in Jalisco, as well as kickstart her online career on platforms like TikTok and Instagram.
Nice.
In addition to posting her latest modeling
Look
photos,
like she
she
AI,
also
yo.
streamed on these platforms almost every day from her salon to share beauty and fashion with her viewers. Things were looking good for Valeria. She amassed over 320,000
Alright, that
followers
picture
across
gotta
both
be it,
platforms, with her eyes set on even bigger goals. However, before Valeria could realize these dreams, her life was cut short in an incident she had no way of anticipating. On the afternoon of May 13, 2025, she went live on TikTok as usual. But just as she was about to start talking about new fashion and beauty tips, she was interrupted by a delivery. Someone had apparently sent her a stuffed animal as a gift. She returned in front of the camera to show it off, but was interrupted once again by the delivery driver asking her to confirm her name. She then muted the stream to talk to the delivery driver, but as soon as she did, the guy pulled out a firearm and fired multiple shots at Valeria. By the time medics arrived, Valeria had already passed away.
On stream?
The killer had also fled the scene without
Is
a
there a
trace.
clip? Can
The
I
only
find
clue
this shit
police had
somewhere?
to identify him was a single second of their voice that was broadcast live through Valeria's stream.
Hola. Sí.
Unfortunately, that hasn't been very useful. The police still haven't identified the perpetrator at the time of
She got
writing.
no cameras
That
in her
said,
salon.
People on the internet have come up
You're
with
a
a number
rook.
of theories trying to crack this case. The most prominent suspect in these theories is a man named Ruiz Velasco, who is a high-ranking member of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. He was apparently in a romantic relationship with Valeria when the incident occurred, which could explain a potential motive. Some people also noted that soon after the shooting, a girl who worked at the salon picked up Valeria's phone to end the stream. This was highly unusual behavior
Why'd she
for
do
someone
that?
who had just witnessed her boss and possibly a friend become
Why
the
was she
victim of
cold,
highly
straight
unusual
faced, too?
behavior
Look at
for
her.
someone who had just picked up Valeria.
Look at her face. Why is she not crying and like in shock? Oh my god, I just saw this shit happen. My balls just died. She knows what happened. She was in that shit. Inside job.
his phone to
Yep.
end the stream. This
She
was
got paid
highly
to do
unusual
that shit,
behavior
bro.
for someone who had just witnessed her boss and possibly a friend become the victim of a violent attack. Where
Wow.
instead of calling an ambulance or police right away, her first instinct was to turn off the live stream.
Yeah.
This odd behavior
That's
has led
fucked.
many on the internet to point her out as a possible accomplice of the killer.
100%.
That said, there isn't any evidence to confirm or deny these theories for now, and the police haven't made much progress either, leaving Valeria's case unsolved for the foreseeable future.
Dude, she was bad as hell too.
Brian Vignault, also known as Pashi Brid, was a decently
Yo, long live all these people that are in these videos, man. And long live that mommy right there, boys. I'm not even trying to be disrespectful. She was bad as fuck.
popular World of Tanks streamer with over 7,000
What the fuck is World of
subscribers. He
Tanks?
started streaming back in 2012
I ain't never heard of that
and slowly built
shit.
a loyal following for himself.
Have y'all?
The thing his viewers loved most about Brian was his consistency. He streamed
Maybe I'm
multiple
too young,
times
I don't
each
know.
week without taking any breaks, with many of these streams reaching double-digit hours. In addition to being a dependable streamer, Brian was also extremely charitable at heart. He raised
yeah.
over $11,000 in charity over the years for veterans and notable organizations like the Make-A-Wish Foundation. On the night of February 19, 2017, he was doing another one of his charity streams for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Now, usually when streamers do charity streams, they set certain incentives, like
Yeah.
shaving or dyeing their hair at certain milestones. Brian, however, took a different approach and promised a continuous 24-hour stream to his audience instead.
Hell
The plan
yeah!
worked as expected, allowing him to gather over $2,400 from his audience by the 20-hour mark. He also pledged to donate $500 of his own money in addition to all the donations. However, just as the long stream was about to end, something happened that no one could have anticipated. At around the 22-hour mark, Brian stepped away from the camera for a short smoke break, but
Oh,
he
shit.
never came back. His audience, however,
How?
wasn't worried one bit. You see, Brian had already done multiple nearly 20-hour streams that week and was running on fumes during the charity stream. He was constantly dozing off and jolting awake as the 24-hour mark got
Maybe he
closer.
just fell
He was
asleep.
also just 35 years old and had no major medical issues. So, when he left the stream and never returned, most assumed that he'd likely just fallen asleep. Sadly,
See?
that couldn't have been further from the truth. The reality of what happened to Brian came out a day later when one of his moderators saw that he was active on Discord. They sent him a message asking about the end of the charity stream and if he was okay, but the person who replied from his account wasn't Brian. As it turned out, seconds after getting off camera, Brian collapsed and never woke up again. He was rushed to the hospital, but sadly did not survive. The person who responded to the moderator was a detective, combing through Brian's messages in hopes of finding a clue about his otherwise mysterious death, though the reason was fairly obvious to some of his fans. Put simply, Brian's death was likely the result of days of exhaustion and lack of sleep.
Damn.
Usually, someone this tired would fall asleep automatically, waking only after their body had gotten the rest it needed. But in rare
How do you
cases,
die?
like for Brian, the fatigue could prove fatal and strike
confused,
seemingly out of
bro.
nowhere. The only silver lining in Brian's tragic end was that his fans banded together and raised over 19,000 Canadian
Hell
dollars for his
yeah!
wife and 3 young children.
True fucking
And while no
community
amount
right
of
here,
money can
boys.
replace the presence of
Go.
a father, this sum likely helped his family during their greatest time of need.
Damn, I wonder how that even happened, bro. Damn. My man's was a consistent grinder, though. Consistent 20-hour streams, but my man's grinding. This shit. Shout out my boy right there.
On August 31st, 2020,
Back to
Ronald
inflation.
McNutt, better known as Ronnie, went live on Facebook. He streamed on the platform quite often and even had a small
I
but
think I
dedicated
think I
fan
know this
base.
video.
These streams usually cover
think I've
topics
seen this
like
one.
comics, movies, and other pop culture stuff.
On-
as Ronnie
on
had been
Twitter,
a big fan
bro.
of superhero media since childhood, and this stream looked no different at first glance. What
Yo, if y'all, oh man, if y'all really know, if you know what video this is, and I don't even want to really watch this end because I know how this shit happened. I literally watched this shit, bro. He blew his brains off on live, bro.
None of
It's
the viewers
all- it's
tuning
on
into
Twitter
this
and shit, bro, and
particular
Reddit, bro,
stream
it's
knew,
bad.
however, was
You
that
can
they were
literally
about
see
to
that
become
shit.
witnesses to a
It was the
horrific
first one I've ever
tragedy.
seen, like first gruesome
And
shit
while
I've
the
seen in
incident
middle
itself
school, bro.
seemingly came out of
Dead
nowhere,
ass.
the path leading up to it
This is
did
like
not.
7th grade.
Ronnie was
I remember this shit, bro. It was like seventh grade lunch class. I said lunch class, bro. I'm in lunch, bro. I'm sitting there trying to eat some food, right? My friend comes up to me, yo, you wanna see the shit I just saw last night? I'm like, bro, fuck yeah, obviously. I look at this video, it's him getting his head blown off, bro. I think I know this
Born
video,
on May
bro. I know
23,
this guy, bro.
1987 in New Albany, Mississippi, and had a fairly ordinary childhood. Growing up, he had a
was
normal
gruesome,
school
bro.
and
I couldn't
social
eat that
life,
lunch that
and
day.
like many other teenagers of that era, developed an interest in comic books as well. However, things changed when he decided to join the army in the mid-2000s. And after finishing his training, went on to serve the US in the Iraq War in 2007 and 2008.
Thank you for your service,
The war
man.
unfortunately took its toll on Ronnie. He developed severe
For everyone out there watching my videos and y'all military, ex-military, your vets, or you're any army or anything, you're serving my country, bro, or any country, bro. I salute you, man. I really appreciate it. I had some balls, bro. You got some balls to do that shit, man. And I really appreciate it, man. So I just want to say, thank you for your service, man.
post-traumatic
It was
stress
Veterans
disorder,
Day the
or
other day, so
PTSD from the
always
atrocities he
gotta
witnessed during
appreciate veterans,
deployment,
man.
and became a fundamentally different person. As his close friend Josh Steen later described, he didn't seem to be the same guy that left for Iraq once he exited the service. I spent many a late night in our studio via text message and in person talking with him about life and his struggles. However, despite suffering from PTSD and depression, Ronnie tried his best to be the jolly guy he always was. He also spent much of his time raising awareness about the issue and trying to help other veterans who'd gone through the same experience as him. And when he wasn't advocating for veterans' mental health, he was working hard to get his life back in order, starting with getting a job in the local Toyota factory and also starting a relationship. His streams on Facebook, as well as his Just Us Geeks podcast with Josh, were also a part of his plan to regain some
I could be
semblance
thinking
of
of the wrong
normalcy.
video,
The
bro.
goal was
But
to
this guy
rekindle the
looks
love for
exactly like
superhero
him, bro.
media he had before his military deployment. Fortunately, these efforts paid off, as Ronnie managed to settle into a fairly normal life over the next decade. At least, that's what it looked like on the surface. You see, according to those closest to him, Ronnie never received any professional help for his psychological struggles. To him, toughing it out was the best way forward. Sadly, there's only so much pressure the human mind can bear before it reaches complete hopelessness.
Bro, if y'all have any mental health struggles or anything, man, there's always someone out there, bro. Everyone, bro, there's always someone out there, bro. I'm here for y'all, man. Hit me, text me, bro. Hit me, bro. Purple Wacky, all platforms, bro. Literally, bro. Bro, like, there's always someone, bro. There's always someone to talk to. Don't ever think you're alone, bro. There's always someone out there. So, if you're ever going through it, man, just know. Don't do it. All right, I'm gonna edit that out. That was dumb as fuck. I'm gonna edit that out.
For Ronnie, things began spiraling in August 2020. It started with him posting about missing his father on what would have been his 69th birthday on August 14th. Sadly, his father had passed away back in 2018. A few days later, he was fired from his job due to the pandemic. And if that wasn't bad enough, his girlfriend also broke up with him not long after. Ronnie might have been able to endure each of these incidents on its own, but facing them all at once proved too much to bear, resulting in him making the tragic, irreversible decision to end it all. On the 31st of August, he went live on Facebook with a firearm by his side. His friend
It is
John
this
was one of the
video.
early viewers and quickly realized what was going on. He immediately called the police and also rushed
It
over
was
to
like-
Ronnie's
it was like
house.
8th
In
grade,
the meantime,
bro.
he also contacted Facebook, hoping to get the live stream taken down before anything happened. Facebook, however, refused to take the stream down, stating that it did not violate any of their policies.
Oh,
Josh
hell
also tried
nah,
to call
fuck
Ronnie
you,
himself,
Facebook.
but he did not answer. A few minutes later, Ronnie received a call from his ex-girlfriend, who was likely prompted by others to reach out. Sadly, this call led to a brief argument between the two, resulting in Ronnie saying his final words. The cops were already outside,
Oh,
preparing to
man.
speak to Ronnie through a megaphone. Unfortunately, neither they nor Josh was able to reach him in time. The stream also kept going for minutes afterward, giving people plenty of time to record and spread the aftermath of the incident across the internet. Platforms like Facebook and TikTok came under fire for not controlling the spread of the footage in time. Though, as more people became aware of Ronnie, looked him up online, and reached his Facebook profile, they were greeted with his somber final words in a final post reading, "Someone in your life needs to hear that they matter, that they are loved, that they have a future. Be the one to tell them."
Damn. Wow, that was deep. I didn't mean to press that. Damn, that was deep, bro. Wow. Fuck, man. There's always someone out there, boys. Don't ever think you're alone, bro. Don't ever think it's just you going through this shit. There's always something. There's always someone, bro. Damn, man. If y'all like me, if y'all want videos like this, man, comment down below. I'm gonna see you on the next one. So woo.